Okay, here's one that I have on my website. Ultrafaction. I had a dilemma. I've literally been tossing this back and forth for I guess the better part of 20 years. Um, I saw the extreme potential on the internet of the stuff I'm trying to do now. Back in the 90s, I was told about the internet. My roommates in college were also computer science majors, and they gave me the rundown on it. So I thought it was a cool concept. Pretty much anything you want to talk about or research, it's online. News groups and stuff like that. For those of you younger people who know what news groups are, it's before the World Wide Web and everything was www in a web browser. You didn't have a web browser. You had news groups, telnet, and FTP sites. I think that was what the bulk of the internet was. FTP is just file transfer protocol. Just submitting one file, posting it, downloading a file. That's it. Telnet is kind of like a text window that you type in commands, kind of like being in a DOS prompt. For those who don't know what a DOS prompt is, and everything was text-based instead of clicking everything with icons and a pointer and a mouse and all that. And news groups was postings like BBS boards, but it's an outdated term. Forums is what you basically call it today. And the web isn't the internet. The web is just a large subset of the internet. So with the net, you have pretty much everybody, and then you can use web tools to get through telnet sites and news groups and FTP. There's a little overlap there, so you want to kind of. It's not like you can't get to it, or something. It all centers around making it easier for the average person. And HTML, hypertext, and all that things all format like a word processor and everything with bold fonts and italics and all that kind of stuff, and fancy integrated graphics and all that. So we had to get an assignment. This was in the fall of 1995, and we had to get on the internet for our assignment to download to check it out and stuff. And one of the first terms I ever got on the search engine for was Alan Keyes. I'm very political and I'm a conservative. Alan Keyes is a huge conservative, and I found two main websites. The main conservative one was the right side of the web, and the main liberal one was called Turn Left. rtside.com and turnleft.com. Those the specific URLs. They even had a feature where the authors of both sites, of each site, should I say, went back and forth with each other over Rush Limbaugh's 35 Undeniable Truths. And I thought it was brilliant. I even have it listed on my webpage on Ultrafaction because it goes to show how, if I use the word prominent correctly, a prominent conservative mind and a prominent liberal mind think. Because they went back and forth about a 5-level deep for each question. And it's interesting. You really, really see how, two sides think. And every now and then there'll be like a libertarian post saying, hey, wait a minute, we count too. We're third party, and not only third party, but third ideology. We try to say we're the best of both worlds. We're fiscally conservative, but we also don't try to dictate to people to do in their bedrooms. And at least that's how they put it. So we're the best of both worlds, from conservative and liberal and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I saw incredible potential when I got on news boards and stuff, because when people were arguing about a topic, you could just link the source of information that you found right at your fingertips. When two people are having a conversation, like in a park or in a coffee shop or something, well, now today with smartphones and all that, but back then it was PDAs, and those were still expensive personal digital assistants. The predecessor of smartphones, I guess. But anyway, when you could get online with them at whatever point it was, but you can't do that. But when you're on the internet, you can just go to another window, Google the term you're looking for. What about GATT or something like that? 23,000 pages and stuff. Something that Pat Buchanan cited many times in many of his speeches, and blah blah blah, or something about NAFTA or whatever. And then it's right there in front of you. Boom, 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 to research and to see, which I thought was amazing. I mean, that done to an amplified power has real potential. So during college, and I'm kind of, it's necessary for me to say all this stuff because people know where I'm getting at. Um, I'm bipolar, so being a 90s college student, I never finished my degree. And it was years and years before I got diagnosed. I quit school for a while, worked, did some tech work, did some fast food jobs, did some tech work, did some fast food jobs. Tech, fast food, tech, fast food, tech, fast food, tech, fast food. You know, you get the picture. Um, but and never, even on the medication, I wasn't performing. So no, that's kind of shot out of there. But anyway, during all these years, the internet was evolving. Social media was just kind of rearing its head, and it's usually called Web 2.0. A lot of people, the second incarnation of the World Wide Web, because the subsets have gotten more aggressive. Now, for the younger people, you won't remember web rings or a webring.org, which I think got bought out by Yahoo, but Yahoo, I don't know what they did with it, sold it or whatever. But it was cool because everybody had their own web page. You know, a lot of people knew HTML. It was pretty simple back then. Before you get into like JavaScript and Flash animation and database integration and all that, Java and all that. But everybody had their 2-bit web page, and it's just some 2-bit HTML code you put up, and now you're in a web ring. And the cute part about it is that it's hand-picked links. It's a list. So if you're a tent company, you can join the Hiker's Web Ring, and you join the Hiker's Web Ring at the bottom of your tent company web page. It'll say the Hiker's Web Ring. Click here. What if you're looking for tent spikes, or more accurately, hiking boots? I'm sure tent spikes would be sort of tent company hiking boots. Something you do, you know, stuff like that. So you cross-reference each other for things that you. It's an old concept. You might say, well, duh, people do that already with Google and Amazon and all that. But this was just starting way back when. You know, aggressive cross-referencing and that kind of stuff. So those kind of things took root. And I spent years contacting political entities, and I went back and forth. Maybe some computer entities as well, because my goals and everything were ideologically driven. I went with ideology, so I was thinking of politics. And I either got no response at all, or if I found someone, they were like me. They were a Generation Xer. They thought my ideas were cool, but they were also broke as I was, so they weren't going to be in a position to hire me. I'm trying to impress somebody with money to hire me for my software ideas. Now, I made this reference. A lot of people might say, well, wait a minute, if you suck so bad with your bipolar and you can't finish your college degree, how are you going to, have your own software company, whatever? When the ideas are coming out of my head, I can write for hours. I used to do like 12 and more hour shifts and stuff when I had more time to myself, with piles of notes and everything. And I wanted to hire like a personal assistant, like a former drill instructor in the military or something like that, to sit right by me and to constantly bombard me with questions. What are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? Because I lose myself in thought a lot. I daydream, I get on tangents, I get distracted very easily, I lose concentration very easily, stuff like that. So if I had a coherent person by me that I brief on what I need to do that day, just basically sit by me and just bombard me with questions, every few minutes. It's a theory of mine that if I can ever get off the ground, or some venture capital or something like that, that's where I would go with that idea, concept. Hopefully they'd buy into it, to give it a whirl. But over the years and years and years, I saw something. You have political websites. There was one, twosides.co and fairspin.org. They don't exist anymore, but they were. A lot of people see the premise of politics.com. It's technically online now, but it's been either bought out or converted or sold out or something like that. But its incarnation, like around the year 99 and 2000, it was a huge traffic site, and they tried to organize between 150 to 200 news sites, but to be a central focal point at their website. So instead of traipsing the internet for news, you just go there and they do all the work for you. It's a pretty straightforward concept. Got a lot of traffic, but didn't make much money. The guy took time to get back to me, which I was flattered by, but it goes to show how busy he wasn't. After the 2000 race, he said he dumped $4 million into the website and didn't see a penny in return. Now, everybody knows there's money in politics, but they can't make the formula work. So there were these stories that got out, and you've seen that they have a political website, and I cited a few on my Ultrafaction page. Bill trackers that you see with things that are up for legislation to monitor that kind of stuff, and then, but no one's making this formula cook. No one's turning a buck with this. And I realized over 20 years that politics is not ideology based like it would be ideally. It's power based. It's muscle. Who can overpower who? And ideology sometimes takes a back seat. They're fighting to get in power so they can all do absolutely nothing except get more power, line each other's pockets for all your cronies and stuff you have. There was an article in WorldNet Daily that I have listed. Yeah, it's on Ultrafaction. Harry Browne, a leading libertarian, I think he died like 10 years ago or something like that. Ran for president, I think I forgot which year, but it might have been more than once. But it was a 1999 article, and he cited that there was barely any difference between the Republican and Democrat parties. He was citing that the legislation they were pushing up for to be voted on and all that kind of stuff, it didn't differ a whole lot. It didn't. I mean, the rhetoric is severe. The ultra right wing. Yeah, they want to destroy the environment, and they worship the greedy. Or if you're pro-conservative, we want morality and common sense. We want fiscal responsibility instead of this socialist crap. In the left wing, they're called the commies and the Reds and the socialists. They're drug users, they're flakes, they're sluts, they're indifferent, all this kind of stuff. But if you're pro-left, we're against the government, the bedroom, telling adults what to do. We're all for a woman being in control of her own body. And we do want to help the poor, like those damn right-wing conservatives. And anyone who's political, you've heard all this before. But supposedly, in the rhetoric, it's black and white day and night. But this article cited with the actual legislation that's really being proposed, there wasn't much of a difference. So that's a huge debate, whatever kind of stuff. But it's just crap. Don't show how blah blah the system is. I mean, I remember when the Republicans took Congress in '94. It was the first time in 40 years they had both houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. And it was something like 2 years later, I was already hearing a lot of conservatives complain that they were bitching out their ideology and they were watering themselves down and compromising with the Democrats and compromising with Clinton. And then, of course, Clinton got a little flack for supposed to compromising with them. His so-called triangulation, that Dick Morris used to say, who was a Clinton aide, turned into a Clinton critic after a few years when he helped Clinton moderate, as I've been told. Welfare reform, this triangulation is the best of both worlds, made everybody happy and all that kind of stuff. So, but a lot of crap just doesn't translate to much. But so therefore, I've come to conclude that politics is power-based, and ideology-based comes second. It's as much ideology as two MMA fighters in a cage. When two guys go at it, or two women, should I say, two women, two guys go at it in a cage for MMA fight, you don't know what their belief system is. You don't know which form of music they like better than the other. It's just two people fighting. It's just muscle. Well, that's politics. Ideology is supposedly the driving force and all that, but I didn't take a backseat so much, that kind of stuff. In fact, I have in this YouTube channel, I have things that are called Doctrine Chaos, where I show examples of lines being blurred between liberal and conservative, that it isn't always black and white. Some people just these overlapping regions, even for the spectrum itself, much less the people and the groups and the behavior and all that. And in having said that, that's going to be an old dog system, because the lust for power never changes. Details may change over the years. In fact, that's a premise that a lot of people use to say the Constitution should be amended very rarely over the years. Instead of, as more liberal people say, no, it should be a living document. Is because the balance of power and things like that, it's never going to get old. It's never going to be outdated. It's just the same thing forever. Kind of like when the Y2K problem happened, because we were still using banking software from the 60s in 1999, because when you calculate principal and interest, that goes back to forever, till the earth was formed, till the first caveman loaned another caveman his chisel on a rock or whatever the hell you want to say with loans, till the year 8 billion AD. You have principal, you have interest, and here's your rate, and it doesn't change. Anyway, that isn't what you want to do in the computer world. And it took me 20 years to conclude that thing in a more abstract, aggressive sense. I always knew that, but it's just to conclude it in the context I'm talking about. So in recent years, I thought about going to Silicon Valley. Now, if it's politically motivated software, which I'd like to expand to other arenas and stuff just for mass information handling in general, but you might say if it's politically motivated, where I want to get my start, why would a bunch of Silicon Valley geeks, get into your ideological debate? And also, political people are not usually known for being very computer literate, and computer literate people aren't known for being very political. It's two opposite extremes. The computer world, it's geeks and ones and zeros and all this kind of stuff. In the political world, it's power and people and psychology and sociology and the lust for power and greed and corruption and all that kind of crap. One's pure emotion, psychology, the other one's pure logic. So in a lot of ways, opposite of each other. And I thought, all this is a theory, but I thought that this would be new blood, both ways. Pumping fresh blood into Silicon Valley with their ideas for the virtual reality interface and the augmented reality interface. And also trying to get more Silicon Valley geeks political. Anonymous, they're very political, but they're hacktivists, as it's called, hacktivists. They're computer literate and they're political. So I think this would be a very interesting forum if I ever get to take off the ground, but this is about where I'm at right now. So my conclusion, whether it's Washington, D.C. or Silicon Valley, for this cyber political software of mine, this virtual reality, augmented reality software of mine, I go with Silicon Valley. Trying to get the eternal question tied to this is it easier to get political people computerized, or is it easier to get computer people politicized? And I think it can be very difficult to get geeks political, but I think it's impossible to get old dogs computer literate. In a political system, I think of a bunch of old, wrinkly white males in suits that are so privileged and so uppity, and trying to get them, why do I need a computer? I mean, I have pencil and paper. Or they might see a computer for the minimal use, like email to Washington or something like that, as a replacement for postal mail. But as far as this virtual reality interface and trying to get into all this kind of stuff, I just don't see it. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So that's been my conclusion. It took me like 20 years to conclude that. A lot of people will say, well, duh, it took you 20 years, but with the micro detail I've been going over back and forth, it's one of those things that I couldn't see both ways. I could see both ways, but it's like that scene in Princess Bride when he puts the poison in one of the cups, and you get to choose which cup to drink out of. And yeah, but you see, knowingly, you put the poison in front of me because you want me to drink it. But you knew I would know that, so therefore you put the poison in your cup, thinking I would know that ahead of time, so I would drink that one. So it's mine. He drinks this one, and he went back and forth and back. And there's only two options. And this guy must have spent 20 minutes in the movie, maybe not that long, but 10 minutes in the movie or whatever, or 5 minutes, who knows, going back and forth about blah 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 blah. So this has been more of a solid conclusion on my part. Anyway, it's been 2 minutes long. So that's about where I'm at. So I'm trying to get the Silicon Valley World political, and I'll be in upcoming videos. I'll be doing things like that. All right. Bye.